It is an ancient world. Forged in darkness and blood. The gods have forgotten us. The immortals fall from the heavens, and terrors roam the land. Thousands of years I have waited, deep in the bowels of the earth. The seal will soon be broken. Lose your hopes, mortals. Your doom is near.
Good evening, one and all. Welcome back once again to the Notte Eterna channel here on Twitch. I'm Kevin. I'm your host and your dungeon master for this evening. We are continuing into part 2 of the Creeping Death story. Tonight we are going to continue this awesome group of players and myself. We are going to do a collaborative story set in a cool, grimdark setting for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to have returning characters. Same 3 heroes that we saw last time. If you did not see last time, it's still floating around on Twitch, so check it out. But don't leave. Stay. Listen. It's still going to be good, I promise. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to just say thank you to Ali Rebelli and Jason Forbes, who published Notte Eterna, for letting us be here and be cool. If this is your first time listening to Notte Eterna, welcome. And if it is not your first time, welcome back. Let's go ahead around the table. Let's introduce these fine players before we get into things properly. Let's start right over here on my side with Andrew. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm good. My name is Andrew. I'm a human person playing a human rogue named Lee.
Absolutely. Thank you for being back. Appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.
And David, right below me. How are you tonight, sir?
Doing better now. Doing good. Hi, I'm David, human person as well, but playing a tiefling. I am playing Malice, the bard of the Dance Macabre subclass. When I'm not on here, you can find me on the Murder Hobo Incorporated podcast and stream. We have a show tomorrow night. Calamity B-Side. Calamity is an ongoing post-apocalyptic campaign that we have going on, so lots of fun. Other than that, you can follow me on Twitter at BardicAF or also under Inspired Champs for the Inspired Champions channel. So anyway, that's me. Tonight I am Malice.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so very much for being here and for telling us all that. So, last but not least, of course, Javante. Good evening, sir. Welcome back. You are muted.
Hi, everybody. I just realized I was muted. I'm Javante. I'm 3 goblins in a trench coat, disguised as a human, playing Anessa, our warlock character, and my mom's version of a character that I have repurposed for this game. I'm super excited to get back into it.
Absolutely. I'm glad to have that connection brought in. I'm glad to have you 3 joining me once again, and I'm glad for you at home to be joining us as well. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Let's dive on in. When last we left our intrepid adventurers, they had arrived in the town of Mandulia's Rock. 3 strangers brought together, Anessa, the spirited warlock, a bit of a presence here in the town already. She found herself in the presence of these other two. Lee, a warrior with a little bit of a dark chip on his shoulder, and the colorful and exciting tiefling Malice. The three of them were brought in together by chance or perhaps by some other stronger force when they had to face off against a small gang who had a bit of a problem with Lee's arrival. They fought and killed the gang and drew the attention of Officer Zakara, part of the city guard and watch here. Zakara offered them a place of employment for them to meet with the High Captain of the city, Alexei, who told them of a strange series of events that they were then hired to investigate. Specifically, there have been a rash of dark and cryptic murders in the city, 8 victims in total, all dismembered and left seemingly to be found by officials. They believe this might perhaps have been part of a rival gang hit by the mysterious blood darts that are here within the city, but Alexei believes there is something deeper afoot. The players have started to investigate and find out what exactly is going on, and in that, they have all uncovered strange happenings. We will commence with the retelling tonight. Let's find out what happens with these characters, shall we? We begin moments after we left our characters. The moon is high in the sky, marking what would be the midday time here in the world of Nier. Because the sun has not risen 161 years, people have adapted to the dark, and this is no different. The moon is high, its glowing beams stream down over the three of you as you make your way through the city towards the location that was pointed out to you, towards the morgue. You follow Officer Zakara as she takes you along the way. She is quiet and terse, all business, as she makes her way through the city. She navigates every narrow alleyway as she moves along without any sort of delay or without any sort of obligation that is difficult. As you all continue along your way, there is a bit of a nagging feeling in the back of your mind, Malice. Just a moment ago, you had a bit of an encounter, and those voices continue to stream through your mind. If you could, tell us a little bit about how you feel about the voices that you heard, and what that might mean to you with the strange, dark gift that you have.
At this moment, Malice, as we left off in the last episode, was at the moment keeping it to himself, the whisper that he heard coming from this voice from beyond. Again, the others might pick up on a tell because his tail was kind of flicking a little fast, almost like a cat when they're, I want to say stalking or something like that. You know how the tail starts waving back and forth. Not the hindquarters, just the tail.
Absolutely.
So if anybody happens to notice, that's what they're seeing. But I mean, otherwise, he has a rather, I want to say, dour look on his face, as composed as opposite of his usual composure, which is usually, in the spite of all this gloominess that's around, Malice usually has, some kind of flamboyance about him, Mm-hmm. So, but he's just waiting for the right time to tell the others what he heard. He's used to getting voices from beyond, but this was something different.
Absolutely. And as you walk along, the shadows seem to lean out towards you as if they are reaching for you, a little bit of a promise of mischief this night. You hear those voices in your mind yet again. This is only the beginning. And
Malice kind of blurts out. It's just like, almost like he's talking to himself. It's just like, you keep saying that. So whether the others have any context of what that means,
yes,
I don't know if they're hearing what I can hear. So
Malice does suddenly blurt out. The two of you, as Zakara as well, take note of it. In this moment, Anessa, if you could, please make a charisma saving throw for me.
That's a nat 20, so a 25.
Okay. Anessa, there, right before he shouts that out, there was a tingle that came upon your back of your neck as well. Something that seemed to creep along and draw your attention. As you feel this cold presence brush a hand down the back of your neck, suddenly Malice leaps out and says what he says. And you know all too well the call of spirits. Once upon a time, they perhaps visited you as well. So you know what this voice perhaps might be and what sort of hold it might have over the city. What sort of reaction do you think you have to this?
She gets this initially almost frustrated look on her face, but not in the like, you know, not in a like this is bad kind of sense, but a this again kind of way. She will move over to Malice and put an arm around the shoulder. I'm not gonna pretend like you're talking to yourself, because you and I both know you're not. They often can't talk back. Pats his back, undoes the arm around the shoulder.
And he thanks her for that. He's like, but for a minute there, yeah.
What,
I just leave it
you
at
thought you were crazy? Welcome to this place.
Okay, so this is how it starts. Okay.
Lee, from over where you all were walking and you've all suddenly stopped as a car looks to you. Are the two of them all right? They seem to be leaping in voices in the night as if something is speaking to them. But I see nothing.
They're doing the best that they can.
Are they?
I think we all are.
I saw you handle that blade earlier tonight. There's a story there, I'm sure.
I used to be a warrior. Retired now. I don't have voices in my head, but I have my own demons. My own share of nightmares. I'm sure you do too.
Anyone who draws steel under the moon of Nier has demons that they battled.
What's your story? You seem good at your job. Why is this mystery so difficult for you and the guards and Alexei?
Well, to be completely honest, this murderer is beguiling. They have a way of slipping through our grasp. It's almost as if they're one step ahead of us. Alexei, as he told you, believes that perhaps there is a cover-up going on with some members of the Force. And I'm not entirely able to disagree with him. Some of the men and women here are, well, they weren't always members of the law-abiding Force. Nearby, there are two figures that happen to be walking through with their patrol. Members of the city guard. They are wearing their typical black armor that covers their entire form, tight-fitting, with masks that cover their entire features of their faces. They walk along. They only slow in their step enough to notice the presence of Zakara with the three of you, but no longer than that. They slip off into the night almost as if they are part of it. But you know that they all took stock of you and made sure that they were keeping track of what you were up to. But she looks back to the other two. Are we done here? Can we continue, or?
Malice composes himself in more serious nature this time and says, yes, of course.
Very good. She continues to make your way through the part of the city, and after about 15 to 20 minutes, you guys arrive at a section of the city that best can be described as older than the rest of it. It looks like the buildings here have seen some age. Perhaps they were even around before the sun set for the last time. As you approach, you do see that she bypasses all of the buildings and she goes into a series of alleyways that are connected behind all of these buildings. At the base of this alleyway, there is a series of what looks to be steps that lead down below the surface of the street. She stops for just a brief moment to signal someone up near one of the tops of one of the buildings, and you all glance up to see that she is motioning towards one of the city guard, who is up there and just slowly gives a nod in recognition before she continues her stride down through the first set of stairs. As the three of you follow, she is going to go further down below the surface of the city, and as she does, there is a humidity, there is a sweatiness that starts to cloy about you as you move further down. The area down here is not cool. It's not an area that is even welcoming. But as you continue to walk along, you know that almost like descending into the finer steps of hell, that this is a burden that you're going to have to do to investigate this quest further. It's not entirely lost on you, the symbolism here. As you move your way further down, Malice, there's almost a song at the edge of your tongue that could perhaps best reflect the moment. But as...
But of course.
yes. And as the three of you get down to the base of the stairs, you do notice that the walls here are slippery, slimy, a strange mold of sorts that grows in different corners. It is a bit taxing to your senses, to be honest, and you all feel that strange difficulty in your breathing. Let's have all of you please make a Constitution saving throw.
No. That's a 7.
A 7? Okay.
Yeah, I think everybody saw what I rolled, perhaps. That would be a 1 plus 2 is 3.
Natural 1 for a 3? My.
I got a 15 total.
Okay. Lee, you are able to stomach the smell down here. You smelled worse in your time on the battlefield. In your time in the military, there was things that would make this smell be nothing compared. So you're not bothered by it, and you just simply take a deep breath, start breathing through your mouth, perhaps. Nessa, you, however, are having a little bit of a difficulty not retching down here. The smell is unbearable. It's almost like this mold is attacking your senses. You are going to, for the time being, have disadvantage on your skill checks because you are just taken aback by this. This will last for a little bit. I'll let you know when you start to feel a little bit better. Malice, with that natural 1, my friend, you turn, and as you are also being a bit debilitated, like your new companion Anessa is, you also find yourself retching all over the floor.
Oh.
Yes, the contents of the meals that you had earlier today spill out all over your boots and on the bottom parts of the stairs. They creep down around and almost get onto Zakara's boots as well. You are going to also, in addition to being disadvantaged on your skill checks for the time being, you're going to take 2 points of damage because you are just that puked up.
Oh, puked up. Yeah, Malice kind of surreptitiously cast Prestidigitation. Hopefully nobody's seen that. He's like,
yeah.
Somewhere in the realm of Pandemonia, there's vomit coming out of the sky and some beings pissed off about it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, Malice gestures and speaks under his breath to himself, and yes, all the vomit disappears from the front of his shirt and from his boots as well, and maybe some of the ground too. Zakara doesn't seem to stop at any of this. She just, over her shoulder, almost non-committally says, "You'll get used to that." She pulls out a heavy key ring from her belt and she unlocks the door that is here. And as she opens it, you find that there is a short tunnel that goes beyond, another walkway down here, hewn out of brick and stone. The mold is very present down here. It's even on the floor in spots. And as you continue to walk, she moves over to where the wall is and she pulls out what seems to be a lantern sitting on a small alcove about head level. She takes it out and she lights it with a match that she produces from somewhere upon her uniform and lights it. And it has an eerie glow that lights the hallway. If the idea of going to a morgue wasn't disturbing enough, the fact that it is pretty darkly lit and a little bit sickening down here would complete the goal, as it were. So the three of you follow her as she moves forward yet again down this hallway. The sound of your boot prints moving down the hall in an echo, a staccato that seems to be like a presence following you. It's very eerie down here, to be sure. But she gets to the door, she raps on it, knock, 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 knock. And there is a voice from within, I'm in. And she turns the handle of the door and pushes it open. She steps within. Which one of you is the first to enter behind her, do we think?
I don't know. I don't think Malice would be, because I think he's just too worried about outward appearances, so he wants to look as put together as possible. I mean, other than the incident with the reaction to the smell initially when we came down here, I think Malice has taken the time to compose himself a little better. So, but he's still hanging in the back just in case any unforeseen accidents happen again.
Of course.
Yeah, I think Lee would be walking with her since they were talking while walking.
Okay. Lee, as you enter in, you're the first to see what is in the room here. It is a larger room. It is basically a series of small little half walls between cots and beds and tables, perhaps, that are used like beds or cots. It's not very ceremonious in here. You've seen certain types of morgues like this before, usually in a field, the field of battle type of scenario where it's kind of been made out of necessity rather than a permanent type of structure. And you do see them moving in between the bodies that are arrayed on different tables here. There is a halfling, very old, short, and he has a large section of his hair balding away in the center, almost giving him a tonsure look, like a monk of death or something, some sort of strange, almost, it would be comical if you weren't in this scenario. He is turning away from a table that seems to have a partially bisected body upon it. Apparently he was in the middle of an autopsy when you all walked within. And as he turns, wiping his hands on himself, Oi! Who'd you bring me now, Zakara? He is, as I said, older. He has moles and different birthmarks and things like that on his skin, liver spots. He definitely looks like an individual. And yeah, there is some slight candle glow from nearby as well, as you could all see that the room is partially lit. There is a window type apparatus towards the back of the room. You're so far underground, you know it can't possibly be a window. Yet it looks like there's some sort of eerie moonlight streaming from within. And she says, Alexei has asked me to bring these three to you. They wish to investigate the latest victim. Ah, yes, the Tanner, he says. And he moves away from the table that he was at. From where you're positioned, Lee, you can see it's a half-orc that he was in the middle of doing an autopsy on. If you could, go ahead and make a perception check for me.
17.
You can tell from the time that you spent wielding a blade and using it to end people, you can tell that this half-orc was killed from a single stab wound to the gut, but it would seem that this halfling is investigating his insides anyway. That's a little bizarre. It's a pretty cut and dry cause of death. But you don't really have time to take that all in as the halfling moves past you. The table that you happen to be standing next to has a cloth over it. And Malice, as he gets to the cloth and rips it away, you see that you are about a foot away from a body. Anessa, from your vantage point, you step around Zakara to see the body as well. And what the three of you see is a figure that is clearly a middle-aged man, a human, with dark skin, a tan type color. And he has very short hair. And you can see that there are, much like you expected based on what you were told before, certain things missing. It would seem that both of his hands are gone, as well as some damage around his mouth, which is probably from the missing appendage in there. And this little man, this mortician, here you go. Here's the tanner right here.
Do you have an autopsy report for us to read?
Yeah, sure, right around here somewhere. And he starts looking around. He finds that there is a rolled up parchment next to the table. He looks at it, he opens it up. Oh, yeah, but here you go. He hands it over to you. You notice, Lee, that there's not entirely a clean hand that hands it over. A little bit of the insides of the half-orc are smeared on the outside of the scroll. Based on the mold outside, the smell in here, and the general disarray of the morgue, it's a little bit interesting that they brought a murder victim here. This guy isn't exactly the best housekeeper, as it were. Zakara looks at him and says, "You will aid these three in whatever that they need. Is that understood?" He looks to her. Yeah, I gotcha. Consider me your friend.
What was your name, friend?
Well, my name is Jacob. What's your name?
My name's Lee. This is Inessa and Malice.
Hello,
Well,
Jacob.
you're a colorful folk, he says, looking at you, Malice. And then he looks to you, Inessa, and goes, and mighty beautiful one, too, I might say. He starts...
She can
hear.
I think, Malice will take a look at the orc's facial features, and he will pull out his dagger and just gingerly try to open the mouth to see if the tongue was still there and intact.
The orc, the half orc on the other side of the room that he was autopsying when you guys came in, or this one that you guys are looking at now?
Oh, this one then. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I thought they were one in the same.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, that's okay. Sorry about that. No, this man is a human. The tanner is laying there. Yeah, you take out a dagger and you slowly pry open the mouth, and yes, indeed, as you suspected, his tongue is missing.
Okay, so he was silenced. So,
Jacob, do you have a cause of death?
Well, I'd guess it'd be that somebody cut him up.
that they have. And aside from the fact that the tongue is missing, to silence him, just not to throw shade on this, but the tongue is actually worth a lot of money. So it's a spell component. So
The tongue of a
Silent.
tanner is worth a lot of money. Well, geez, I could have retired early had I known that.
the tongue of anybody, my friend, is valuable. So
Really? How come you know so much about cutting up dead bodies and selling
not-
body parts?
not so much cutting up dead bodies, but I know something about spell components, and that's one right there. So
Okay.
Somebody cut him up. Which cut killed him?
Well, he looks to Zakara for a moment. Well, looking at the body, it looks like there may be, he might have been killed before he got cut up. I was just having some fun with yous, so sorry about that. But, yeah, I think somebody, and he reaches up and he removes some more of the cloth like that was covering the body. Some of it had fallen across the victim's neck. He pulls it aside. You can see there's a deep slash. Looks like somebody slit him and bled him like a stuck pig. And then they cut him up. They took his parts away. kind of messed up, if you ask me.
You
Seems
notice
like this has become the norm lately.
Yeah, we've had a couple of victims. I'm sure Zakara's told you if you're here to look around. We got some, a couple of different people. There's 8 in total who all have to do with the same kind of stuff. They've been cut up. They've had some stuff gone. People are missing some heads. They're missing some hands. They're missing some feet. There was one guy who was missing his heart. Kind of macabre, if you ask me. I'm usually putting these things back together, but they're got a little too much gone,
Any missing eyes, my friend?
Not any missing eyes. Well, here, I got an inventory over here. And he goes over and he starts rifling through some scrolls and some papers, knocking things down on the floor. As this is going on, he reaches in, here we go. He pulls out another scroll, similar to the one he already gave you, Lee, and he hands it to you. And what you find on it is a list of the 8 individuals that all have been victims in this. It's very similar to the paperwork that you were already given by Alexi, but this is this guy's version of it, Jacob's version of it. And so it's a little less organized. It's a little less thorough. It's more just bits and pieces of information. This body, missing head, doesn't say who the name is. This person missing their heart. And it does correspond to the list of figures that you were given before, the 8 victims.
Okay. Looking through the inventory, we don't see anything specifically other than the victim that we're seeing tonight of eyes, tongue, or anything like that. Otherwise in the inventory, correct?
It has everything that's missing. Are you looking for something specific?
Specific, yeah. Like they've left the body, taken the eyes, left the body, taken the tongue. So...
Okay, go ahead and make an investigation check for me, please, Malice.
Oh, God. Oh, my rolls are so bad tonight. 2 + 2 equals 4.
Oh, yeah, it's such a just a mishandling of information. It's just so kind of illegible in most spots, to be honest. You can't make heads or tails of this guy's organization.
He needs a clerk.
Right. Yeah, he probably does, honestly. Probably does.
Jacob,
yeah, it's just a mess.
How long have you been a mortician?
Oh, longer than I can ever remember. See, I came into it. It's a family business. My father did it before me. And my grandfather did it before me, before the sun went down. But, and I'm still doing it. Somebody's got to do it, It's what it is.
So this body that's missing, its hands and feet. He said slashed across the throat, bled out like an animal. Can you tell how long after the death the parts had been taken? Was it a few hours, the next day? It takes a long time to bleed out a body.
You see him look to Zakara again, who's standing behind the 3 of you at this point. Apparently she's already seen the body, so she's not getting closer. She's letting the 3 of you have up close and personal seating, as it were. She just crosses her arms over her chest and just gives him a hard stare, and he just nods at her. It was pretty close, to be honest. It would seem that as soon as they were done with that, they took his tongue, but his hands, they might have been starting on those before he was all the way finished. I don't know what that would mean, why it'd be important for his hands to maybe still have blood in them, but I guess they wanted them for that reason. A lot of the other bodies, we didn't really know the connection at first. And he looks to Zakara yet again. Well, this is the only one that's still left, you see. After 2 days, we burn the corpses here. We get rid of them because sometimes things that are dead start creeping around. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes. Kevin, Malice wants to make another investigation check. Taking into account what Lee has said, he's gonna check the I want to say the injuries to see if one was perhaps a combat-related injury. Lee would recognize it too, but like perhaps the very first strike was right to the heart, and if it was, the blood, there would be no more blood gushing from it. It would just stop because the heart stops pumping it out. You know, if it was a direct strike to the heart. So
Interesting. Okay. Do a medicine check for me, please.
okay.
Could I roll an insight check on Jacob?
Yeah, of course.
To see if that is the actual reason why they're getting rid of bodies, or if they're trying to hide evidence or hide anything, especially if he kept looking towards Zakara.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you definitely can. Anessa, is there anything you want to do during this time down here?
I'm curious. Okay. This is just a weird bit of curiosity here. With Anessa's background of how she became a warlock, would any of the body parts that were stolen ring any bells to her, like what kind of spell these components are for?
Interesting. Please make a knowledge arcana check for me, if you could, Anessa. We'll start with Malice, who was doing an investigation check, a medicine check to try to determine if there was some sort of purposeful way that they had killed the bodies for the bleeding. What did you get for that?
14 plus 3 on the medicine check, so that is a 17.
Okay. I think you definitely are onto something. As you kind of start looking through the notes that this man does have here, and you compare that to your mental recollections of the information that you looked at before you all left with Zakara to come here, from what Alexi gave you guys to look over, you do know that it would seem that there is a correlation. It would seem that some of the bodies would have been stabbed first, others, the organs probably were taken beforehand because the bodies weren't found to be bled that way. However, I will say, they did tell you both, Alexi's mentioned and now Jacob has mentioned, that they didn't exactly keep full records of both of these things in correlation to each other because they didn't notice a pattern until 4 or 5 victims in. So there might be something to that, but it's not entirely sure if that's what's going on here. But it's a good hunch to have in the back of your pocket for sure.
Okay.
13.
13? Okay. You definitely are aware that there are plenty of body parts that could be used in dark rituals, especially things like corpse crafting, which is a very, very rare mystical art that you've heard of, where people actually use body parts to, how should I say, magically manipulate and change themselves, such as attaching somebody else's hand or a creature's hand to get their strength enhanced, or to have a cyclops eye embedded in their face to have better perception or something of this nature. There's all kinds of things like that for sure that you've heard of. Yeah, and any one of these body parts could be used for purposes like that. Definitely. And Lee, what did you get with your roll for trying to determine?
I got 7.
7. You could tell he's shifty. You could tell that Jacob is very out of sorts. He probably wasn't expecting to have company, and he just seems like he's really nervous. He's really not sure what to do. He's looking at her because he's nervous, and he's not sure what she's going to say or do to him. You could definitely tell he's a little bit intimidated by her for sure.
Malice says he approaches Lee, said because of the direct strike to the heart on this body and all that, it seems that small blades, or blades that are meant to be used with precision, were used with this victim, which would totally make sense because, yeah, people do carry broad swords, but, it's just like someone, walking through the street just like this, yeah, a little too obvious. So I would say small blades, perhaps, dagger, something, more precision, like rapier, cutlass, something like that.
Zakara nods behind you. Yes, a thinner, quicker blade would probably do better work for mutilating bodies like that, especially to stick them in more vital spots. Don't you agree, Jacob? Yeah, that makes total sense to me too from what I've seen. Definitely looks like somebody who knows what they're doing, knows how to cut up bodies. This isn't no amateur here. This is somebody who has done this before, I bet. Somebody who maybe even likes it, you know?
So
That
there's-
sounds like you have. That sounds like you have a bit of a not practice with these kind of things, but do you have a hunch there, my friend?
Do I have a hunch? Well, between me, you, and Officer Zakara here, I think we got a real sicko on our hands, you know? I think we got somebody here in the town who's taking these body parts and, you didn't hear this from me, but, maybe they're eating them, you know? Making a stew or something. You know?
You mentioned something small and sharp. Something like a dart?
A dart. Yeah, I mean, that could be. That could be. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, maybe they got one of those weird tube things that they shoot the dart. And it hits people from far away. They wouldn't even know the person was coming, right? I mean, that's the thing, right?
Like a blow dart.
Is that what those are called?
She gives this like a little odd look, looks down to her pouch of which she has a foldable blow dart.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they're called.
Excellent. Anessa, from where you're standing, I would like you to make a wisdom saving throw for me, please.
Again?
Yes.
Leave me alone! 21!
21. You feel that tingling again, and then you feel another presence in the room with all of you. A presence that's on the other side of the room that seems to be watching the five of you talking at this point.
Okay, I'm gonna do a thing. And it's gonna be a dual thing here. She's going to kind of twist one of the rings on her fingers to where it faced the outstretched gem faces the inwards of her palm, and she's going to press that against her hand until she feels like a pinprick of blood form. And I'm going to cast darkness around us. And I'm using the ring of subtlety so that I don't have to use a verbal or somatic component. It just occurs.
Okay. All of you are suddenly bathed in darkness, deep darkness. This is not like the lights in here have suddenly gone out. This is, you can all tell, you've all witnessed magic of this nature before. Darkness magic is very common in Nier, even amongst people who are not super trained in magic. So you do know that there is darkness that now permeates. This darkness, however, when it spreads around you all, it seems to encompass the room. It almost feels like it's thick, like there's a weird, almost like really thin water or like a mist or a smoke that's slowly pressing past your bodies. It almost feels like you're standing inside the darkness rather than having darkness eat away the light. It's almost like you are in a physical thing that is darkness. You all hear the sound of a sword leaving a scabbard. Is that one of you? Zakara says.
We're being watched. I figured it'd be best to have less eyes on us.
We're being watched? What the hell you mean we're being... There is suddenly a cutoff of sound. There's then a sound as something drips across the floor. There is a slight dragging sound, and then it sounds like there is something that is dropped upon the floor. You then hear what sounds like a figure moving past the three of you, And there is then, sounds like boot prints. You hear Zakara's voice is now on the other side of the room. And you hear signs of her like swinging her sword. You can hear it bouncing off of tables, clinging against the small little half walls. "Show yourself, fiend," she says in the darkness. What did all of you do?
I'm going to personally start walking backwards until I am at where the entrance for the morgue was, and just have my back against where the door. What I remember where the door was.
Okay. Go ahead and make a perception test at disadvantage.
I'll draw my sword and run towards wherever Zakara is.
Okay.
That's 10.
A 10? Okay. You find your way over to the wall and you feel the bottom step. You almost trip for a second, but you catch yourself on your balance. And you can tell you're at the bottom of the stairs where that doorway was. You're up against the doorway. It did close behind you, so you're up against the doorway now on the bottom step. Because when you came in, you stepped down a single step. So you're up against that step in the door. Lee, yeah, you draw your sword, you move across the room, and as you do, you feel your feet hit into something as you move across the room. Please make a dexterity saving throw.
13.
13. You do manage to collect yourself and not fall over as well. And you get back up to your balance, and as you do, you feel a hand reach out and grab a hold of your chest, steady for a second, and then you hear Zakara's voice right next to you. "It's you. Are you all right?"
Yeah.
"Where's the presence coming from?"
I don't know.
You can't tell, but
I can't
you can.
see.
Yeah, you can't tell what she's doing, but she sounds like she's a bit concerned. I'm sorry, I talked over you. What was you saying?
It's okay.
Malice, what are you doing in the dark?
In the darkness, Malice takes a moment to compose himself, and compose being the operative word, he is in his head composing the words to a song, which is going to protection from evil and good on himself.
Okay. You begin to sing, and the magics that protect you from evil begin to spread out around you. How far does that go? Does that get everybody in the room, or is that just you? I mean,
it's just one willing creature. So
you do it to yourself, then, creature?
yeah. In case I do have another slot to cast this on the others, but I have no idea where they are at this moment.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Unaware of where your companions are, you do. You feel the magic flow over you, and you are currently protected from evil. You do know that any sort of evil presences that might try to come up and try to grasp you, attack you, or anything of this nature, that you will be warded against their presence. Over by the doorway, Anessa, you continue to concentrate on your spell. The darkness is still permeating through the room. You then feel that presence that you felt a moment ago. You feel it on the other side of the door, directly behind you. Without sight, you know that it stops by the door, and it slowly puts a hand up, touching the door directly behind you.
I'm going to drop concentration on darkness. And if I can, I want to go ahead and cast Eldritch Blast at the door.
Okay. All of you suddenly see that the darkness melts away, almost like there's something physical, like a mist that gets blown through away by a silent breeze. It reveals the morgue as it was. The only difference in the room now is that Jacob is on the floor. He is tumbled onto his side. Lee is standing partially straddled over him, right next to Zakara. The two of them are kind of shoulder to shoulder with their blades out. Two practiced warriors, reacting to the stealth here. Malice, you are standing there. There's a slight glimmer about him. And Anessa, you turn and you blast an Eldritch Blast through the door, pulverizing a giant hole through the center of its wooden frame. The Eldritch Blast goes through the door, and you hear it slam across the steps outside the door. It doesn't hit anything. But that presence that you felt, you feel leaves when the Eldritch Blast goes through it. Make an insight check for me, please, Anessa.
I would normally have advantage on that.
What gives you
So-
advantage on that?
I would naturally have advantage on insight rolls.
Okay, then you still have advantage on it.
Sweet. Roll.
This is because you're a Karevi, is that why?
Yes.
Mhm.
That's a 15.
You feel sadness as the presence disappears. Zakara says to all of you, "What the hell just happened? Are you all right?"
I'm getting very, very tired of spirits interrupting things.
Spirits. Is that what just happened here? A spirit approached and did that? She motions towards Jacob's lifeless body, the pooling of blood spreading out from his neck.
Do you have a different thought process?
I believe in things that I can stab, things that I can kill, things that bleed. Spirits do none of that. And so therefore, well, I'll leave
You
spirits and ghouls to the three of you.
You are hilariously misguided if you think spirits can't kill you.
Oh, I
But she
believe
gives
spirits.
she gives a little wink.
I believe spirits can kill. I simply believe that I have seen other things. Every rationale around here tells me that someone just did this. A person, not a spirit.
Lee wants to. I'd like to scan the room to see if there's any other way in, other than the way that we came, unless we just came into a bunch of beds and that's the only way in and out, or if there's another hallway or another way in and out of the room that we were in.
Absolutely. Without any rolling, I think you could just take the time to look over the room if you want. You don't find any other secret doors, no other exits or entrances. It looks like it is the one way in and the one way out. When you get over by that door, by that window, that series of windows look like there was moonlight streaming from within. You do see that it seems to be there's some sort of lanterns behind it that are streaming through. They seem to be magical because they're not lit; they're just glowing. It would seem that this was, what Jacob used to do his work down here. And as you're looking around, you don't find anything else out of the ordinary immediately apparent. Zakara crosses over to Jacob, actually, and using her foot, she puts it in underneath his shoulder, slowly turns him over and looks down at him. She crouches down so that she's closer to his form. Single blow to the neck. Sword, I would guess, by looking. Yep, whoever killed him wanted him dead quick.
Malice looks at the wound itself. How big would you say the blade was that made that? And he says this aloud in his coarse and his Thiefling accent. And directs it towards Lee.
I'll take a look.
Accusatory. Just his expertise. So,
Lee, you move over to the body and you crouch down. It does seem like it is a wider blade. Maybe something like a long sword.
Could I do a medicine check to find out exactly?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's a 7.
7. Yeah, I mean, from your time in the battlefield, from wielding blades, you're a skilled swordsman, so you can tell definitely. Yeah, it's a straight blade of some sort, probably a long sword, but you can't really pinpoint exactly. It looks like whoever stabbed him did it in a weird, strange angle that makes it so it would be difficult to tell. Maybe.
What kind of sword is Zakara holding or wearing?
Zakara, she has a long sword. When you look upon it, you see that it's clean, no blood upon it.
Looks like a long sword. slash.
Convenient. And she puts her sword away. Then there was it down to maybe 90% of the people who have blades in the city. So I guess that's good. Well, I'll have to report this, of course. Do the three of you want to come with, or do you want to investigate this place some more?
I think a good investigation would be in order.
All right.
I
You will.
wholeheartedly agree. And Malice is looking around, looking for bloody footprints because he could have swore he heard something sloshed.
Okay, yeah. Do a perception check.
Before you go,
Yes.
you said that this was supposed to be secret. Nobody knew that we were supposed to be investigating this. So supposedly only you, Alexei, and Jacob knew about us being here. Is that correct?
As far as I know, yes, that is correct. There's no reason for Alexei to lie to me, and that's what he told me. Why? What do you suspect?
Oh, I'm just curious because those guards outside made note of us, saw us with you. Don't know if we should be hiding our presence more than we are. We're walking around out in the open.
You have a good point. I know part of your mission parameters that Alexei requested that you all keep a low profile, not draw any more attention to this, so perhaps my being with you will actually be a detriment rather than a comfort.
How long have you been working with Alexei?
Since I became part of the guard, it's been 15 summers now.
And he was your boss he hired you? He didn't come on after you?
She gets a strange look on her face, as if she's trying to maybe think of the best way to phrase what she's about to say, and then she says, he was friends with my father, and after my father died, he had a hand in raising me, so he's like a father to me. I've known him for my entire life. He is a good man. He is not behind any of this, I can assure you that. Well, if the three of you believe that you can do more good without me leading you around, I will take my leave. However, you will let us know what you are up to. You will return to the safe house we put you in to give reports daily. If I find that you are mucking about in things that you need not, it will not matter that my godfather was the one who put you to the test. I will see that you are put in chains. Do we understand?
Lee
Of
nods.
course.
And she looks to you and Nessa. Do we understand one another?
Oh, crystal clear.
She stands for just a moment longer before nodding to you all. Then you know where to find me. And she walks across the room, stepping over Jacob's body, and leaves. When she gets to the door, she stops. She looks back to you and Nessa. She's impressed, you can tell. And she goes out through the door, and even though it's got a giant hole through the center of it, she closes it behind her, leaving the three of you alone in the morgue. What would you guys like to do?
As soon as she's out of earshot, she's good at her job and really, really effective, but what a bitch!
Oh, well, you know.
I don't trust her or Alexei.
Paranoia will get you far here. She's gonna sit on the same table that the body was on and just sits next to it. Just
Okay. Yes, you sit down next to the tanner, and he doesn't react. He doesn't move.
Of course not.
that's good.
Malice, again, looked on the floor. His initial perception check was an 11. Can I try to do a more thorough investigation?
I think now that the light is returned, you all are a little bit more aware of what's going on. The initial shock of what happened is kind of worn down. I think you all are entitled to make either a perception or investigation check, one of the other. It will determine what all you might be able to glean from what's happening in here.
Yeah, Malice looks at the floor. There's so many other substances around here. Yeah, bloody footprints are kind of obscured because, yeah, we're all walking around in it.
I got a 17.
On a perception or investigation? Perception.
Perception.
Check. Were you looking for anything specific?
No, just to get a better sense of, I guess, if I'm looking at the Tanner, if there's anything that just kind of seems out of place, or if I can kind of get, I guess he doesn't have any feet or anything like that. I was gonna see if he was strung up to be bled dry, or if it was, as we were saying, a stab to the heart, if he just kind of bled out on the ground. You know what I mean? If there was any more, if there was like, not motive, but like if there was like almost like, if it was operational or expertly done.
Sure. What did you get into roll again?
17.
17. Looking at his body, you don't notice anything out of the ordinary of what you've already seen, so you don't really notice anything. It would seem that, yeah, it's the body was clearly dismembered, body was clearly killed. Unfortunately, you don't have any of the other bodies to see if there's a common correlation, so you're not sure about anything with that.
Fair enough.
Well, we do have one body, extra body. It's on the floor, so he turns Jacob over reverently, closes his eyes, looks at the wound and all that. Of course, it was an ambush, so there wasn't much of a combat, but he kind of looks to see if he can determine the direction of the thrust that was used to kill him, and then compare it to that of the wound on the orc, because Malice has an idea. He wanted to check to see if he could tell, was the attacker right or left-handed.
Interesting. Now, by you saying orc, are you referring to the Tanner or the half orc?
The Tanner, sorry.
Okay,
yeah,
that's okay. I just wanted to be sure, because there is a half orc body in here
Yeah,
that
I know.
Jacob
It's
was
just
working on. That's why I'm just clarifying. Okay, not a problem. Not a problem. Looking over the Tanner, go ahead, make a investigation check, please.
I hope I roll better, because it's such a great theory. Oh, no, I don't. 4.
4?
Yes,
Okay.
Gosh.
Yeah,
If Bards could give themselves inspiration at this level, but they can't.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't notice anything that is connecting. It just seems like they've been wounded.
Okay, I am going. If anybody else wants to take a stab at this, go ahead. No pun intended.
You beat me by 1 second.
And I'll cast inspiration both on Anessa and Lee to see if they use any other skill checks or whatever to do this or what. Please, have at it.
Okay.
Feel free. It is a D6 at this point that you could add to your roll.
Okay. So I think we have a little bit of a passage of time while the three of you look around the room. Just kind of, let's go through, give a general idea of what all you might be looking for, how you interact. We'll just kind of do this more of a free-form style as opposed to turns per se. So what is it that you guys want to look for? What is it you guys want to investigate? What is it that you all might be thinking? You're not sure how long it's going to be before Sakara comes back with other guards to investigate this, or if the other guards are already informed and are going to be coming soon. You're not sure. So maybe time's of the essence. You don't know.
I personally wanted to see if, I know that it will be relatively different because age of death and style of attack, but if the wound is similar between both Jacob and the body on the morgue table. Like, is this a similar weapon or a similar slash style? etc.
Okay. I think, yeah, because you guys are all able to take a little more time now, I think you definitely could just take the time. We don't need to have you roll for that. By looking, you could definitely tell it's two different weapons. It would seem that the Tanner, when he was killed with the slash to his throat, like you all had determined earlier, it was a thinner weapon, probably something like a dagger, or a dagger that might have been made for this purpose. With him being a tanner, there probably would be skinning knives and things of this nature that he had right in his shop. That might be the perfect thing. That might be a nearby weapon. With Jacob, however, you can tell it was a larger blade. Because he was a halfling, the larger width of the blade almost severed his head completely. So it's definitely not a small, delicate blade. It's something bigger. So definitely not a connection there.
So you cast darkness on us because you said you sensed a spirit watching us.
I sensed something watching us. I don't know if it was a spirit necessarily.
I'm just trying to piece it all together. There were a bunch of folks that were hunters, tanners, worked with animals, butchers, that were all slaughtered in the same way that they conducted business. Then nothing was taken from their shops other than their body parts. And then after, ledgers were taken. Now we're seen going to the morgue to investigate, and all of a sudden there's an assassin coming to kill the mortician.
She sits on Jacob's body in like a thought for a moment, and she does not care, and just wait. What were the jobs of the people that were killed?
They were all animal slaughterers. They were butchers, tanners, taxidermists.
They work with death.
Flesh. That is it. They are flesh manipulators.
And points down to Jacob. He may have been accidental, but might still fit the thought process.
Yeah.
Oh. It just clicks for Lee right there. So do you think he was originally a target regardless of us coming here? And we just got to witness it?
Speed up the process. I think they may have had to speed up the process and weren't able to take something.
Yeah, his name probably jumped to the top of the list, so...
Well, maybe. I don't know. Zakara did say that she would let the guard know and they'd come after us. Could we... I'm not very good at stealth, but could we hide and stay here and see what they do with the body? Because it was only afterwards that they came back and stole the money and the ledgers. I don't trust the guard. I don't trust Zakara. I don't trust Alexei. I want to see what they do with the body.
I could probably help us with that. And he pulls out his loot, and in almost one seemingly fluid motion, as he plucks a note on it, he levitates, almost in like a concentration pose, like for yoga or something like that. And as he plucks the note, you start to hear him sing in a tongue. It's mostly infernal, and you kind of see apparitions flying around him in flight, and then suddenly inside of him, and he casts borrowed knowledge. So this time he's going to have advantage. And with plucking the loot, I'm going to use 2 because there's 7 charges. 3, he's going to use to cast invisibility on himself, Anessa, and Lee. And at that point, when they're ready, we will see what comes next for the body.
How long does that invisibility last per the spell?
1 hour.
1 hour. Okay.
Yep. Yep. It's a concentration spell, so if for some reason I break my concentration, even though I'm casting it with loop, yeah, the spell will fail. Or if any of them try to attack outside.
Absolutely. Okay. You turn everyone invisible, and while you're all there, invisible, Anessa, from being down on the floor, sitting, kind of leaning against Jacob, you see across the room that there is a box that's actually beneath the table that the Tanner is on. It says effects on it with one F. It's misspelled.
As that NA education, I'm gonna just crawl over there and pull the box free and see if I can, if it can open. If it's not locked, I want to look inside it.
Yeah, it's an open box, probably used for shipping like drinks or maybe even equipment that's used here within the morgue, embalming fluids or something, because it has these dividers in it that a bottle would fit within each one of the holes.
He just sticks important stuff inside of other things. This guy.
And you look within, you can see that there are some folded up clothes in here. They are pants that are made out of a leather. They have a nice stitch along the side. You can tell it's good work. It's tanned. There's a belt in here as well. There is a simple shirt. It has some smudges, maybe a little bit of an odor to it from someone who would work in a tanning shop. Some body odor that's been stale because it's been sitting in this small little crate for 2 days. And something else that you notice within is a very peculiar looking, looks almost like a brooch or a pin. It's made out of a strange glass, you notice. As you pick it up and you start looking at it, it catches the light of that window behind you all, and it just catches it in such a way that there is a prismatic hue that streams across the floor for a second as it catches. It's very, very finely crafted. I mean, this would be something that would be far above the pay grade of the Tanner.
Just gonna tuck that away.
If you would like to, you can make a knowledge. We'll call this. We'll just call this a straight intelligence roll. Doesn't really fall into a specific knowledge, I guess.
That's an 8.
An 8. You know you've seen glass jewelry.
Wait, do I have what?
Do you still have Bardic Inspiration?
Oh, you do have your Bardic Inspiration still.
Oh, I have Bardic Inspiration. How much was that again?
True.
They do.
It's a D6.
D6.
Roll.
Yeah, because that lasts for 10 minutes.
That's a 13.
A 13. You know that you've seen this kind of glass jewelry before. Then I was going to say that you've seen it, but you didn't remember where. But with a 13, you will. You know that there is a specific glass works here within the city. It's down by the southern sections of the docks. And you do know that this glassworks specializes in this kind of jewelry like this. It's usually sold to visiting dignitaries and things of this nature. So why this, for lack of a description, more lower income tanner has it is a little bit strange.
I will head back over to the rest of the group. I think I have the next person we should go and visit.
The invisible voice comes from the air next to you all, but you know it's Anessa.
Where should we go?
There's a glass workshop down by the docks. I've frequented it a little bit just to get my own personal wares and effects. And a tanner shouldn't be able to afford something like this. She holds it up, kind of rotates it.
I can't see you.
Does it turn everything I hold invisible, or
Yes,
if I
as you-
it's
as you pick it
it's
up,
a glass it's a glass brooch that I found. It's rather intricate and definitely more expensive than somebody on a tanner's salary.
And I will make note of something. I did do this purposefully. I did describe it to you. As you picked it up, it should have turned invisible, but for a moment as you investigated it, you did see it. But now that you've taken it with you, it's invisible now. If that makes sense.
Yes. Do we want to remain here to watch for the body? See what they do?
I think so, but I don't know how long it'll take. This only lasts for an hour. It's been about 10 minutes.
It is risky. Malice?
Well, as far as oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm game to see who comes for the body. It's a fresh kill, so we're to stick with this killer's motive.
I'll find a corner. And
Something's gonna come for it.
And Anessa's
Yeah.
going to stand and go to the far back right corner of the room and sit.
Lee will go to just to the right of the door. So when they walk in, he can see them walking from behind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if Malice was
They can slip.
visible, it would be like a gliding back.
You glide back out of the way. Malice, yeah. As you all three take up different corners, you wait, and we'll say the remaining 50 minutes or so of the invisibility spell transgresses by until eventually it does wear off and the three of you become visible to one another in your various corners. And no guardsmen have come in this time that you've been down here. No one else has come either, so that's been good. There's been no people looking for working with the morgue. There's been nobody doing any sort of follow-ups on anything. It's just you all here alone.
Somebody shoplifts some fruit. Every guard within a 5-mile radius is here. There's an actual murder and they're late?
Ridiculous. I don't trust that. Jacob seemed like a good guy. No sanity check. No wellness check. Unbelievable. Well, do you want to lead us to the glass worker, Vanessa?
Might be the wisest option. I'd be cautious when leaving. We might still be tailed.
Hi.
So the paranoia is high when the three of you make your way out of the morgue, back up the stairs, back through the long tunnel hallway that leads back up to the surface steps. And as you ascend the surface steps and you come out onto the back alleys here, you do see that as soon as you emerge, there are two of the city guardsmen, the same two that you saw before, you notice, who come in from different sides of the alleyway to stand on either side of the steps. Silently, like statues, some sort of strange specters of watching the death that you all are walking away from. They stand there and observe the three of you step out. They do not approach you, do not say anything to you, but you can tell that they're watching you, even though you can't see their faces behind their shielded gaze. You guys leave for the glassworks.
Pull the hood up on my cloak.
As you head out of the alleyway and into the street proper, there was a slight drizzle of rain that begins to fall down over the city. And the last view that you get as you look back towards the top of the stairs are those two guardsmen dipping down in below to secure the area, as guardsmen ought to do after a citizen is murdered here in Mandulia's Rock. And as you all three move your way towards the glassworks, we will go ahead and we will take a brief break. Thank you all so very much for being here with us so far. We hope you've enjoyed CSI La Notte Eterna, and we look forward to you coming back after this 5-minute break. Please grab a drink, grab a snack, grab your sanity rolling dice, because things are about to get a little bit more interesting. So thank you all. We'll see you in 5 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so very much. We had a little bit of some technical difficulties. You know, the goblins are out there tonight, but you know what? We're not going to let them stop us here in the eternal night. We're going to push on through and make sure we continue our story for you. So, our players, as we have just discovered, you know, they have gained some clues. Their one lead that they seemed to think that they had was murdered right before their eyes, and now they are making their way towards the Glassworks, a location in the town that makes bizarre and strange things that Anessa has noticed. When we pick back up, there will be a short journey across the city itself. So when we open up directly, it is still night. The moon is high. And as the three of you approach the Glassworks, what you will see is actually a very large factory-type building. It is 3 stories tall. There is a huge smokestack that is on the back side of one of the buildings here. It has smoke billowing out of it, even at this time of the day, which would typically be for like people taking a break for lunch or something like that. They're apparently still hard at work within the Glassworks. As you approach, you can see that there is a large sign that is above a wooden fence line along the perimeter here. And the fence specifically says that this is Yanis's Glassmakers. As you approach too, you'll notice that there doesn't seem to be anything amiss. It's just a regular shop, somewhat unassuming. And as you approach, you see that there are 2 small boys outside in what looks to be like a front yard type area. At first, when you approach, it looks like they're playing with something, maybe a small toy, or maybe even some sort of various thing that could be found within the shop. And as you start to get closer, you actually see that they stand up, kind of a little bit of a mimicry of guards, maybe. And they step forward, and the one of them goes, "State your business here." You guess this child is maybe 8 at the oldest, and the other one's even younger. You can see the thing that they were playing with seems to be some sort of wooden swords.
Vanessa holds her hands up like a little just here to see the shop owner. Have a query about one of the items I have, and just want to make sure that I got the right price for it.
Do you have an appointment?
No, but I am a friend. I think he might be able to squeeze me in.
Anessa, please go ahead and make a persuasion roll.
Lee puts his hands up and says, "Look, I don't want any trouble. If you walk away, I'll walk away."
That's a dirty 20.
Okay.
Just kind of leads on Lee a little bit as like
Yes.
a yep.
Malice with sleight of hand makes a gold piece appear, and it's just like, can you see if your employer can maybe move us ahead of his appointment schedule? And I'll hold it up to them, and I'll start doing the, tumbling the gold coin.
Ledger domain.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, with your allies helping you out in this persuasion, I would give you advantage, but you've rolled so high. I mean, if you want to roll to see if you get something better than a dirty 20, you're welcome to.
I'll roll again. Let's see if I get a crit. No, I didn't get a crit. That's still a dirty 20.
That's okay. Dirty 20 is enough. You see the smaller of the 2 boys' eyes light up. You can tell that he has probably never seen gold, even especially gold that has appeared just seemingly out of nowhere in the hands of a bright blue tiefling. He starts to step forward, and the older one puts his sword in front of him. "You want to see Yanis, huh? Well, we'll be we'll be confiscating that gold. We're supposed to make sure nothing falls into the Glassworks. It's a very delicate process, you see. So we will take that," and he snatches it out of your hand, Malice.
And I'll just tumble it, like let it fall down into his hand before he could snatch it. Be like, bloop, there you go.
"Right this way," he says, and he takes his wooden sword and he tucks it into a little belt that he has, and he leads you in towards the front door. As he does, he opens it up, and as he opens it up, you hear
As
sound.
we're walking in, Lee would like to just take out the autopsy report really quickly and just try to glean as much information on the victim, like what the victim's name was, how old they were, just so then we have some information on the client that we're going to be asking about in his head. at
Yeah,
least.
okay. Absolutely. Yeah, so the latest victim, as we said, was a tanner. His, according to the document, you get just a brief glimpse. You see that his name was Duric, Duric, and his last name was Masa, Masa. He was 48 years old and had been a tanner in this city for the last 30 years. It's a family business, and he apparently inherited it from his father. And yeah, that's all the information. It doesn't have any information in the report that you have about this piece of jewelry that you found. So you're not sure when he would have bought it, but
Just wanted to know like who he was, so then we come in and know who we're talking about, basically.
yeah, of course. So as the two boys lead you in and they open up the front door, as you go into the interior of the factory, what you notice is it is a lot of activity going on in here. There is an entire front area that looks to be a lobby or a foyer of some kind. There is a front desk made out of a really deeply stained wood. And behind the front desk is what looks to be a preteen aged boy. He's maybe 12. He probably might be on the cusp of being 13. He says, "Hello there, welcome, welcome to Yanis's Glassworks. I am Tyrell, and how may I help you today?"
Hi there, Tyrell. And Anessa does a arm lean against the counter. My companions and I are actually here to speak to. Is by any chance Yanis in today?
Yes, he is always in. He is always ready to deal with clients. Do you have an appointment?
And
Yanis. Yeah. She kind of like reaches in and pulls out 5 gold pieces, and you see her just like kind of tapping them against the counter on all of her fingers. Just, I think I could have one moved up a little bit from an old friend.
Make a persuasion roll for me, please, Anessa.
$13.
Tyrell looks longingly at the gold, and then he says, "I'm very sorry. Yanis is very busy. Yanis is very busy, and he is in the middle of a very important order for the Jubiex himself. He must not be disturbed."
Noted.
The two littler boys are looking up at the gold very, very intently.
And you see her add another gold to the pile on her hand. That's a shame. I was hoping to spend quite a bit of money here today.
Make another persuasion check, please.
With advantage?
Not
Lee
quite
will kind of walk around the store and kind of feign to look at things, and if there are any things that are like on shelves or that look precarious, he'll kind of stand close to it. If he catches Tyrell's eye, he'll kind of just slowly nudge one closer to the edge, and he'll walk around, and he'll push another one closer to the edge.
Please be careful with those. It's not great if those are to fall to be damaged. Please be careful with those. Those took some time to make.
He'll stare at Tyrell right in the eyes, and he'll move another one close to the edge, and continue to walk around the store.
And he gestures, and the two littler boys are looking, and then Tyrell and the two little boys, and they look and they see what you're doing, and the one that had talked to you outside pulls his little wooden sword out. "Step away from that! Don't knock that over!"
God dang it. Rolled worse.
There is suddenly a voice that cuts through all of you looking between one another. "Hello there. Might I be of assistance? You turn, and what you see is a very tall, half-elven man. He has long, silvery white hair that hangs down past his shoulders. He is wearing what can best be described as very tight, form-fitting clothing that is a dark color. He has a leather apron over his clothing, and he is holding some sort of apparatus, some sort of, maybe they're pliers, maybe there's some sort of tool for making glass, you're not entirely sure. And as he stands there, he has one hand cocked on his hip. The hand that is cocked on his hip, not holding onto the tool, has a glove upon it. The hand that's holding the tool does not.
Is this, I'm going to assume that this is Yanis.
I would say because you've been in the city for as long as you have, Anessa, you recognize this. This is Yanis, the owner of this business, yeah.
Meister Yanis, it's so good to see you. I was actually just looking for you.
Looking for me, he says.
Someone with your attention and eye to detail. Who else would I turn to?
Well, if you're looking to purchase something, I can definitely make that happen. Boys, please leave them alone. Do not harass them any longer.
Oh,
And
you hired the absolute most perfect guards we've ever seen. Truly. I have not had such great service in a long time.
oh, well, I am very best pleased to hear that. I always find that children make the best servants, don't they?
Malice and Lee, you catch this very subtle eye twitch. Yes, quite. Is there... The item I want is going to be for a certain particular interest. Is there a place that we can speak?
Yes, of course. Are the three of you together, or is it my lucky day and I have 3 business proposals?
Potentially. This is these are my retinue, if you will. A girl can't travel by herself in these horrid lands all by her lonesome. I have no way to protect myself.
Well, tell me, since we have not met before, well, how does a Karevi such as yourself find herself in here today? And you can see that he is now actually moved up to the counter. He has the ungloved hand to set the tool down on the counter, and he is lazily making a figure 8, like an infinity type symbol with just his middle finger, very, very lightly tracing around the frame of the wood.
Though a Karevi I may be, I am a woman of fine and extravagant tastes, and everyone, from even the slums that some of us live in to higher establishments, know of the glorious works you create.
Well, flattery will get you everywhere. And he then winks at you, Malice.
Yeah, Malice suddenly shifts his gaze towards him. And then he's just like, well, sir, you seem like you are a provider of very fine things. And again, he makes that coin reappear in his hands, and if the kid is still in the room and all that, he'll flick it towards him and all that. Yes, make sure to tell them that Yanis is in a meeting. And yeah, he says, so my good man, may we talk?
Yes, indeed. The 3 of you have enticed me. This way, please. And he will turn and he will go back in behind the counter. The young man who was at the front desk, Tyrell, he steps over and he opens up, it looks like a section of the little counter here is actually a door of some sort. He opens it up and gestures for you to follow Yanis back to the back room. And Yanis stands there on the opposite side, just looking at Tyrell, just giving him an approving nod. Thank you, Tyrell. As always, you are the best at what you do. And Tyrell just steps back and he bows a little nervously. This way, and he actually leads you three into a small little office that's just behind the counter. It has the main desk in it, as well as 2 chairs. Forgive me for not having enough chairs for the 3 of you, but I could have one brought around if you wish.
Lee, Malice, if you'd like to sit, I would prefer to stand in this.
Oh. A power move, one might say. Should I be intimidated?
No, intrigued would be the better word, I think.
Then there is perhaps more gold that is going to flash across our palms.
See her kind of like reach into her pocket, and she's not going to show the brooch, but she's going to clutch it into her hand.
Like in the office before, Lee's just gonna stand, arms folded by the door.
So, how can I help you, miss? Oh, forgive me. What is your name, lady?
Now, like I've said, you are a famous individual, and one might say that 2 famed individuals...
Not too famous, I hope.
Oh, just enough.
His eyes dart out the door that's still ajar slightly, and he looks to all the boys. They're standing in the hallway watching, and as he looks out there, they all scatter.
Just famous enough that even a, I suppose, street famous woman like Anessa Gethsemane would know you very well.
Well, I would like to say that I've heard this name before because it does roll off the tongue with beauty and grace such as yourself, but I have not, alas.
That's fine. And she puts her hand and takes the brooch from it. This is an extravagant piece.
He holds a hand out for it.
Does it have like a chain that's attached to it? Because she's
No,
not
it's
going to
got like a pin
his hand.
on the back of it. It would be
Okay.
like pinned onto a shirt or a cloak or something.
She sets it into his palm. That look familiar?
Well, although I do dabble in this sort of artistry, I make so many pieces, it's hard to tell. It is expertly crafted, so it perhaps would be one of mine, but I'm not entirely sure. Where did you get it?
Now that's an interesting thing. You see, that was found, and she motions for Lee to close the door.
Lee closes the door, stands in front of it.
That was found on the effects of a tanner that was recently removed from our lightless world.
A tanner.
Yes.
Well, I would certainly say if it was one of my pieces, a tanner would hardly be able to afford it now, would he?
You're right. Lee, what was his name?
Durik Massa.
The name just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
True.
With grace.
It seems we are all full of grace this evening.
Oh yeah. And at that moment, Malice undoes the last button on his his golden brocade jerkin, and just kind of takes a seat in one of the chairs, and just makes himself comfortable.
You see that Yanis, he crosses his hands, and then he holds one up to his face. It has a ring on it, where a wedding ring would be. We would like some refreshments, please, he says into it. I'm sorry, you were speaking of a tanner. Was there a point to all of this? I thought we were going to be doing some business dealings today.
Oh, this is a bit of business. See, I'm curious. You yourself added that it'd be almost impossible for a tanner to afford a work of art like this. Friend, do you happen to know when this was sold to him? Or why?
Well, if it were one of mine, it would be within my ledgers. And he will actually reach down. He opens a drawer underneath the desk. He pulls out a couple of books. He looks at the spines of them. He sets one down. He opens it up. He starts flipping through. Yes, I see. And he's looking through. And what you can see, kind of looking over the desk from your vantage point, Lee, because you're a little bit, well, I'm sorry, Anessa and Lee, you're both standing. You can see that it's a typical ledger, but instead of like numbers, it has like a single word or two and then a description, a single word or two and a description. This clearly would be, he actually keeps a log of all the pieces and what they look like and things of this nature. And he's flipping through. My, it does not seem as though this piece is found here within my ledger. I suppose it's not mine after all. But it is rather beautiful. Would you be willing to perhaps sell it to me?
You know, I'm thinking about it. It's just such a remarkable piece. And you are a master craftsman. I'm going to cast Charm Person at second level.
Okay. He gets a saving throw, of course. That is a what save?
It is a wisdom save.
$14.
Oh my god, he just beat it. God, you piece of shit.
When you cast it, all you notice that is different about him is his one eyebrow twitches very slightly. Now, if I'm not mistaken with that spell, if they pass, they know it was cast upon them, correct?
If they reading through Charm Person.
I think so.
When the spell ends, the creature knows it was charmed by you. If your companions are fighting, if it fails, it is charmed by you until you attempt to charm a humanoid. You must make a wisdom saving throw, and it does so with advantage if you or your companions are fighting it. If it fails the saving throw, it is charmed by you until the spell ends, or until you or your companions do anything to harm it. Charmed creature regards you as a friendly acquaintance. When the spell ends, the creature knows it was charmed by you. Doesn't say if it knows if it was failed.
Interesting. Okay. So he just sits there looking at the three of you.
I am being a little overly polite. We're part of an investigation team sent to figure out who was doing these ghastly murders. Don't you think it's a bit strange that a tanner would come across a piece that you can claim that it's not yours all that you like? I partially believe you, but you and I both know that not many people in the city have the skill to make something like this.
Do I find it peculiar that a tanner would buy a beautiful piece of jewelry?
Could
Yes,
afford
of
one.
course. Could afford it? Absolutely. This is clearly a master's work.
How much would you charge for a piece like this?
How much would I charge for a piece like this? Easily 500 to 600 Imperials.
That's several lifetimes for a tanner.
Oh yes, of course.
I find it
We are
difficult.
still in need of our refreshments. Forgive me.
I find it difficult to believe that a craft like this. Would you not be proud of your work? Would you not have a maker's mark on these items or pieces? Do you?
Well, if it were mine, I would be very proud, and I would have my mark upon it, but as we can clearly see, it is not, so... I'm so sorry. He is usually quite quick with the refreshments. And he stands up. Tyrell! And then the door opens, and the boy who saw you all in comes in. Yes, Giannis. There you are. Our refreshments are ready, I trust. Yes, Giannis. And he walks over and he sets them down on the desk.
A moment, Giannis. Tyrell, that's your name, right?
He looks to Giannis. Doesn't say anything. Don't be shy, boy. They wish to know your name. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a last name, family?
A last name?
No parents? Looks back over to Giannis.
Giannis steeples his fingers in front of his face, just looking at the boy. And Tyrell says, Giannis is the closest I have to a father. He takes very good care of me.
Did he read to you? As a, little kid. Not talking ledgers and...
I'm sorry, were we dealing in business, or are you trying to
Oh, no,
interrogate my ward?
Oh, no, I'm very much dealing with business. You see, I'm in a business trade of my own.
He looks to Tyrell and back to you, and he looks at the two gentlemen with you. Do I dare ask what sort of business you are in?
Rescuing. I'm being very forthright with you. I'm being as polite as I can. You say that you don't know me, so I will refresh a bit of memory for you. My name is Anessa Gethsemane. Some also refer to me as the Red Raven. I am the owner, proprietor, and head matron of our fair city's one and only orphanage. One in which takes in and cares for those that the city throws out. Now, granted, I do this job with care, grace, and dignity. These children you've hired so surreptitiously, technically, under the city's watch, would fall under my stead. And if I think that they would have difficulty having such a good upbringing here with a fine, upstanding gentleman that would try to hide valuable information from the city, why, you might lose valuable employees. And you and I know that you don't want to lose that. So let's even out and start fresh. You know where this is from.
Anessa, make an intimidation check, please.
Hell yes! What I'm good at! Please roll well. Can I use my real dice?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Roll the dice.
I don't trust my...
Break out the lucky dice, please,
I
Javante.
trust you all in your dice.
That's a 19.
Total or plus? Total?
No, that's a 19 total.
Okay. He looks at you for a long, long moment, and you see a single bead of sweat start down his temple. And he realizes that the refreshments are there. He reaches forward, and he grabs what looks to be a small, not a goblet, a small, just a rounded cup, the word escapes me from now, but something you would drink alcohol within. A tumbler, that's what we're for. A small tumbler, and he raises it to his lips, takes a sip. Well, I will say one thing. And he looks to the boy, and when he looks at Tyrell, you see that Tyrell looks away. From where you are sitting, Malice, please make a perception check.
Okay.
And Lee, I would like you to make a perception check as well, because, well, perception or insight, whatever you are better at. So, Malice, what did you get for your perception check?
18.
18?
Mm-hmm.
I got a natural 20 for 26.
Okay. Malice, as he is talking to you, you look to the boy, and you can see where he has his hands crossed down in front of him by the side of the desk, that the back of one of his hands is severely bruised, as if maybe it was pinched or crushed in something. And when he sees you looking, he quickly puts his hands down out of view. Lee, you notice a slight shift in the air, and usually something like this would catch people by surprise, but because you are a skilled and trained combatant, you notice before he does it that suddenly Yanis stands up, and he takes that tumbler and he chucks it right at Anessa's face. Anessa, please make a dexterity saving throw. And as this is a surprise round, Lee, you can have one action before an initiative roll will be required, as this man is going to throw down with all of you. So, Nessa, what did you get for your save?
That was a 9.
A 9. The liquid hits you square in the face, and you do not get to dodge out of the way. Please make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh. 12.
12. You are temporarily blinded as something splashes into your eyes, a burning sensation. Not alcohol at all, something else it would seem. And Lee, what do you wish to do in this moment before all hell breaks loose in the glassworks?
I want to dash at him and see if I can get my sword out and just kind of point it at him so he can't really move.
Okay. You close the distance of the small room, pulling out your sword. You put it at his neck as he continues to chuck the glass. He stands upright with the sword like underneath his throat. He grimaces at you, and as he does so, let's have everybody please roll initiative.
Yeah, that's about right. 2.
A 2.
2.
Anessa with a 2.
Malice with the 14.
Malice with a 14.
I got 16 total.
Lee with a 16. Okay, Yanis has an 18. So, as the sword comes in underneath you, he scowls at you, and in that moment, there is a shifting purplish pink energy that wraps around him, and you see the energy shunt, and he moves through you, through the door, and rematerializes out in the hallway behind the door as he misty steps into the hall. You've seen magic like this before. You can tell that he is running. You see that as he gets through the door and he moves, there are 2 of the boys here, and he just running as he materializes and runs right through them. He knocks the one up off of his feet. The one that you noticed was the smaller of the 2 guards outside. He bounces off the wall and falls down. And Yanis, it would seem, bursts through another doorway, and as he opens that doorway, there is sounds of machinery and whirring and fires and things being stoked as he flies into the warehouse proper. Lee, you are the first to react of the party. What would you like to do?
Bastard. I will give chase.
Okay.
Dash.
You turn behind you and you throw open the door and start moving into the hall. You see that the one boy, the older of the 2 boys with the sword, is helping the smaller boy up.
Good.
They look to you in shock.
Which way did he go?
Make a persuasion roll.
Why can't I find it? There we go. That is unnatural 20.
Unnatural 20. The smaller of the 2 looks at you, and then he points towards that doorway. He says, "The foundry."
I dash and keep going.
Okay. You burst out past in through the door. It's going to be Malice next.
Okay. Malice will attend to Nessa. He plucks the dust loot and he casts protection from poison and attempts to neutralize the poison that is burning Anessa's eyes.
Okay. So you cast that, and Anessa, there is a calming sensation as the ingredients that are burning your eyes melt away, and there is the cooling sensation of the poison being neutralized as the stuff that was thrown into your face turns into water, drips down, and falls off of your face. What do you do?
Malice, you see as she opens her eyes that they are no longer the vibrant purple, they are fully black. I'm going to kill that man, and she's going to get up and run after where she saw Lee go.
Malice is like, normally I would be disturbed by seeing somebody's eyes like that, but no, I'm not. Not in this place.
Absolutely. All right. Lee, you burst through the door first, and as I mentioned, you go flying out into a foundry. What you see is that it is a 2-floored structure out here. It is a large open area that has different equipment, different things that are forming glass. You can see that the entire workforce in here, about 40 people, are all small boys between the ages of maybe preteen and smaller. The littlest one seems to be having a big bellows, and he's stoking a fire for the largest of the boys to tend to and to form some glass. He's maybe 4 or 5. You can definitely tell by the way they look, slightly unkept, slave labor, as it were. You can see that there is a catwalk that goes up above the entire structure, cutting across the floor. Excuse me. And you can see that up above there are additional boys up there as well, looking down to see what's going on. As you see, Yanis is running through the center of here. He is slowing slightly to turn back to see if you are coming behind him. And as he sees you coming, he stops running. He reaches over to where that boy is who's making something out of glass, and he grabs him by his shirt and chucks him out of the way. He grabs that big pole and pulls it out of the fire. So it is a 8-foot long pole that has a giant orange glowing ball of glass on the top of it. And he swings it in a figure 8 and puts it behind him, and he kind of waves you on. You're not going to take me alive.
So you want to die?
You're the one who's gonna die, fool.
Ask fucking questions.
And he moves forward. Let's go ahead and let's open up our battle map for this evening. This battle map was really fun to put together here. To give you a quick glimpse as to what is going on. Looking at it, so down here is the downstage area. Okay. And what you will notice is up here is the upstage area. So really we have a catwalk kind of situation that is cutting across the top of it. And so it's kind of the same area twice, I suppose you can say. Yanis is standing in the center of it, and we will put the party. Okay, grab you guys here. Oops, that is the wrong one. So Anessa is here. This is, although the map depicts this as being outside, this is actually just a kind of a walkway inside the building, a small little hallway. This is where the boys were knocked over. The front office area is like here, where you all were sitting. And this is the main workstation area. So, Lee, you are through the door. The two of you are up here still. Coming out of the office and coming into the door that Lee just entered through, which is this door here. Okay. So, that was Yanis. He just stopped. He grabbed something to use as a weapon. And now, Lee, what do you do as you catch up to him? You are muted.
I'm gonna run right up to him and then engage. Take a swing at him if I can.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. You come forward. Your blade drawn, surging through the air. You see that there are boys in the way. They run and jump and move out of the way, trying to get out of whatever's going to happen.
It's 23 hit.
Certainly does.
And since I'm dueling, I'll get sneak attack.
Oh,
1-1.
excellent.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Oh, that's 11 points of damage.
Okay. You cut forward, and you have a longsword, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your longsword comes out. You swipe through the air, a lot less gusto that Yanis apparently is showing off with. It cuts through and it slices up through just underneath his armpit. If he was moved just a little bit slighter, you would cut a major artery and he would drop instantly. But he was a little bit prepared for you to do that, so he does not drop now, but he definitely took a powerful blow. There's blood that starts seeping down the side of him. Several of the boys nearby, "Father, no!" And they start coming in to try to aid him. He goes, "Get back!" And he waves his hand through the air. They all just stop where they're at. Malice and Anessa, you are both at the doorway. You can see that this is going on. Anessa, you called out that you were going to kill this guy. So, Malice, what do you do as you come up behind Anessa, getting ready to go into the foundry?
Yeah, on the way going through the foundry, making his entrance, he'll touch Nessa's back, casting Bardic Inspiration, and he will use his movement to enter the work area that's on the map.
Mm-hmm.
And for his action, he is going to try to make Giannis get down with the sickness and cast Ray of Sickness.
Okay.
So I have to roll to hit.
Okay,
So-
please do.
All right.
I would actually do the scream, but I don't want to bluff.
Oh, I must hit one of the kids instead because I rolled a natural 1.
Natural.
Oh, no.
You fire a ray of sickness through the center of this area. With a
He
natural,
pulled the kid and used him as a human shield.
with a natural 1, it does go a little bit wide, and it does blast off the back of Lee.
Oh no!
No, indeed. Does he have to make a save or anything? Or what
Yes,
happens?
yes, but he is yeah. Constitution saving throw 14.
Okay, Lee, please go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw.
Got a 9.
9. Okay.
Ooh.
Well, with the ray of sickness, what's going to happen to our friend Lee here?
He is going to take 9 points of poison damage and be poisoned. I think. Let's see how many rounds. Until the end of his next turn.
Okay. You feel poison splash over you as this ray slams into the back of your head. Part of your hair singes a little bit as this weird like goo starts to slide down around you like a weird petroleum jelly. As this happens, Malice, it seems that when you came in, there was some slippery material upon the floor, and you look nearby to see one of these boys is holding a bucket of some sort. He threw it down as you came in, and that's what you slipped on. It seems to be some sort of sudsy material. Maybe he was cleaning the floor or something.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. Anessa, what did you do?
Anessa in Infernal is going to yell, Ego Justus Volo Lokoi! And which is, I just wanted to talk. And she is going to cast Shatter.
Ooh.
I'm tired of this man. I'm going to focus it so that it is not where Lee is. So, like, I need a pointer. 1 sec. Yeah,
about halfway
so
down
like
the
probably
board.
like around
Yeah,
here.
there you go.
So
Absolutely.
that's just gonna hit him.
Absolutely.
He has to make a Constitution save.
Okay. 13.
13 just hits it, so he's gonna take half this.
Okay.
I don't know what that just rolled. 1 second. So he'll take. God, that's the worst shatter roll I've ever done. He takes 4 damage from that.
That's pretty bad. It's okay. Yeah, you ring out with the magic. There is a sound that kind of ripples through the air. There are some pieces of glass nearby that, like on shelves, are getting ready to be moved around. They shatter and break, and little shards go flying everywhere. Some of them do pelt down upon Yanis. Some pelt down upon you as well, Lee. Nothing does any damage, just little pelts of glass. And Yanis then is going to just kind of look, and his eyes flash as his eyes meet yours as he realizes that you were coming in as well. And then he is going to take this big long pole that he has, and he is going to slam it into the ground with the base of it. And as he does so, the glass orb on the top, this bright orange material, splatters. I need Lee and Malice. I'm sorry, Anessa, did you move it to the room?
Yes, I will have gotten right into the doorway, so like right there.
Okay.
1 sec, I will move-
I need
yeah.
all 3 of you, please, to make a dexterity saving throw.
Why, Dex? I'm not fast. Damn it, that 4.
4. Okay.
15 for a Malice.
Okay.
14 for Lee.
Okay, both Lee and Malice are going to pass the save, and unfortunately, Anessa, you are going to fail the save. So, Anessa, you're going to take 8 points of fire damage, and Lee and Malice are going to take 4, half, as he shatters this globule in this hot, molten glass, flies down around you guys. And as that happens, he then takes the pole and hefts it back up into his hand like he's going to fight with it, and he just says, "You're not gonna take what's mine! These boys are mine! This place is mine!" Lee, what would you like to do? You're still in, he didn't move away or anything. You're still in his way.
Yeah, I will take another swing at him.
Okay.
23 hit.
Oh yeah.
6 plus 5, another 11 points of damage.
Brutal. Okay. And as you slam your longsword into his stomach and slice across, there is something about his person that kind of shimmers for a second. And then his appearance changes quite drastically. His look of being this half-elven man, somewhat unkempt, but still had a little bit of a presence to him, melts away slightly. He has this dark, mottled skin. He looks to be like he is still perhaps elven, but something different. You recognize that he looks like he's a little bit unnatural. There is a weird darkness to his skin, not darkness like a typical pigment, darkness like maybe there's some sort of effect on him. You're not really sure what that means. But Malice, you can make a knowledge arcana check if you would like to see maybe perhaps what's going on here.
Oh yes.
And Anessa, you could too on your turn.
Yeah,
which will
so I'm
be-
going.
Oh, not with that roll. Wow. 5.
Devastating rolls this evening, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're not sure
Arcana.
what Arcana. Yeah, you're not sure what this
15.
creature is. Okay, Malice, you're not sure what this creature is, other than it's unnatural. And Anessa, you can tell that this creature is some sort of. It's from this plane. It's not like he's a demon or something like that, but you can tell that there is a weird touch of that upon him. It's different than your new companion Malice, who is a tiefling. This is something different. This man seems to be touched by the beings involved with the celestial war. You've heard of these types of creatures. They are basically humanoid figures that are depictions of a great evil that are then given form. It would seem that whatever this man is doing here, and perhaps the pain he's inflicting upon these children, has changed him, and clearly not for the better. So Malice, now that you saw that and Anessa saw that, what would you like to do on your turn?
Malice, on that note, which he was quite impressed that Anessa hit with Shatter. He is going to cast Toll the Dead, and Giannis will hear the Dolores spell in his head if he fails. It is a wisdom saving throw of 14.
Natural 20 plus 1 is a 21.
21. Wow. Okay. A Dolores spell. Okay. Spells damage increases. He doesn't. Aw.
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
I think it's
yeah.
a save for everything.
Yeah, it's a save versus. Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Save or suck. Yeah.
Yep.
There is a sound of a bell from somewhere that rings out through the warehouse. Perhaps it's some part of the equipment here. It seems to have no effect on him. Do you want to move at all?
Yes. Yeah, I will move. Let's see. I'm looking at the map. There's probably a kiln between me, Lee, and Giannis, or something like that.
This apparatus here?
Yeah.
Yes, it seems to be some sort of furnace. It's got fire burning within. There was a smokestack that comes up out of the top, and it seems to be having the steam inside is powering the glass forming equipment that is right here, directly next to where Giannis is standing. That's where he pulled that pole out of.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good to know. All right. So what I'm gonna do is, come around and stand next to Lee. I'm going to use my movement to move next to Lee.
Okay. You move over next to him. Very good.
Mhm.
Anessa.
I'm so tired of this man. I'm going to. She's not going to move forward. She's going to remain where she is. she reaches into her pouch and she pulls out what looks like just like a little small metal stick. She's gonna press down on it and it's gonna extend out into this metallic quarterstaff. And she is going to hold it out and send out an eldritch blast from the end of it towards him.
All right.
I'm a staff too, you son of a bitch. Yeah. What the fuck?
Oh no!
What did you get? Did you give me anything to give me add a thing to this roll there, Malice? No, you gave me something else. Never mind. God damn it.
No, I gave you inspiration as we moved into the room. I
Yeah, you
gave
both have Bardic Inspiration right now.
I have Bardic Inspiration. I'm using it. That's 7. Anything better than that. Cool. 12.
12. The Eldritch Blast flies forth out of the end of the staff, and as it does so, it seems to go straight towards Yanis, but this dark miasma of energy that seems to just pull at his weird, strange, wretched, rotting skin, it deflects off of him and shears out of the way. It hits something over behind him, and that apparatus explodes. There are chunks of burning glass that fly out of the area due to the Eldritch Blast. I need both Lee and Malice to please make dexterity saving throws. Anessa, you are too far away to get hit by it.
I hate this man. That's why I hate him so much.
15 plus 5, 20 for the save.
And Lee?
We got 12.
12. Okay, let me roll for damage. As the burning hot fire comes in, Lee, because you got a 12, you are going to take full damage. You are going to take 6 points of fire damage and 8 points of slashing damage. And Lee, I'm sorry, not Lee, Malice, you were going to take half of that. So that's going to be 3 from the one and 4 from the other.
I'm also resistant to fire.
As a tiefling, you are. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that 3 that you cut down to goes down to just 1 point.
Okay.
Lee collapses to the ground.
Oh my. Okay.
Oh no.
As it comes by, you see pieces of it are embedded in the side of Lee's face and shoulder, and he collapses to the ground. So, as he collapses, it would be... Oh no, I'm sorry. Yanis has a turn. Yanis says, "Protect me, my children!" And from above you all, you see suddenly there are 4 boys who appear on the catwalk, and they seem to have satchels and tools in their hands. Now, this map is going to be a little bit strange to depict here, but as we can see, what we have here for a little bit better description is this catwalk that these 4 boys are standing on is basically directly above where you all are. As you can see, there's the correlation between these 2 vats and this furnace. Are here, and here. So with these 4 boys directly above you, they enter into the fray of combat as well, and they will go on his turn. So he basically asks them to do this, and as he does so, he's going to move away from Lee's form, since Lee is down. He is going to move. He moves through this back area here towards these strange vats. And the boys start pulling out things out of their satchels, and they all start throwing them down on all of you. Lee, you are unconscious. They don't actually aim for you. They don't see you as a threat currently. So they're going to throw one down on you, Malice, with a 16.
16 would hit. Yes.
Okay. You take 1 point of piercing damage as a shard of glass gets thrown down at you and slices across your face.
Not the face.
Yeah, that's the moneymaker. The next boy is going to miss you, however, with a 10. And then there are 2 going to throw at you, Anessa. Ooh, one's going to have a dirty 20.
Ugh.
You're going to take 2 points of piercing damage. And the last boy, very low with a 6. So, yeah, so they just start pelting these pieces of glass, these broken shards of glass out of their satchels. With that, it is Lee's turn. And Lee, please make a death saving throw.
That is a 5.
5, unfortunately, is a failure. Lee begins to bleed out on the floor. These shards of glass pulsing slightly and his lifeblood coming out of him. Malice.
Mm-hmm.
You're standing right next to Lee. You could tell he is in dire straits. He's possibly even dying, but you do have these boys ahead of you, and it would seem that Yanis is running. What do you wanna
Okay. For this, yeah, Lee's just like, not today, my good man, and I'll grab Lee from under the shoulders like that and start dragging him back. But as I am, I'm like, have my hands on his head, and I move to his heart, and I cast Cure Wounds.
Okay. Go ahead and roll for that, please, and see how much hit points he gets back.
He is going to get 11 hit points back.
Wow. Very
Wow.
nice. Very nice. Where do you move with him? You basically move half your speed.
Half my speed, back around the kiln, trying to get him out of the way. So what? 15 feet backwards, I guess.
Okay, we'll put you somewhere there. Lee, on your turn, you'll come to, because you are now have 11 hit points. You are no longer dying, so that was very helpful of your ally to help you with that. Okay, Anessa, you see Yanis go running through that back, looks like a doorway with a curtain across it. You see him go running through it.
I am no mind but for murder. I'm following.
Okay. You sprint across the...
As I'm going to follow up until I can see him.
Okay. If you move your full movement, you will get to where he went through. You get over to that door and you kind of plaster your back against the wall and you turn around the corner to see what he's doing. That is your full move to do that, unfortunately. And as you look your head around, I'm going to roll. There is something that hits the doorway right next to your head. It misses you, but it's something that hits it, and then there's a sizzling sound as Yanis lowers his hand, and there's green energy, a sickly draw that falls off of it like smoke, and the sizzling on the back of the wall you can hear. He tried to throw some sort of acid blast at your face, and missed you, luckily.
Oh, I'm so tired of you.
And he moves the rest of the way to the back of this room. You see he is going towards the catwalk.
On the catwalk.
Yes. And Lee, you come to with with Malice dragging you out of the way. So you come to, you're back over by the furnace of some sort, and yeah, you feel better.
Thank you. What did I miss?
Bunch of little kids throwing glass and molten glass at us, and so didn't miss much.
Where'd he go?
He's down there. I was going to cast Firebolt at him, but
I dashed towards him in the direction. I was just going for it.
If you dash, you can move past Anessa and move into the room. If you would like, you'll get just past her and a square or two into the room.
Can I try as a reaction? I've got one more charge of it for right now. I just kind of slap Lee. Just like, boom, bardic inspiration. That is my last one for now.
We'll say, because of the flow of combat, yeah, you will say as he moves away, your turns kind of...
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say as a reaction. Damn it!
That's fine. Yeah, you give him
Slap
inspiration.
him. Yeah.
As Lee, you go surging through the door. Do you want to go all the way through the door, or no?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go all the way in.
Yep. You go surging through the door, and you see Yanis is at the bottom of the stairs. You see this true form of his is quite gross to behold. There's a fire coming off of some different kilns in the back, and he has got these small little runes etched all over his body. You see that is doing whatever this is to him, and Yeah, that's what you do. You get in there. Dashing would be your whole turn, though. So, Malice, you did do that. So, I'm going to say your reaction or bonus is over as you inspired him to fight on. What would you like to do otherwise?
Malice?
Yes.
Yeah. Yikes. Okay. With that, let's see if I can see him. Okay. All right. I choose Giannis and two of the boys to make a charisma saving throw, and I am going to cast Bane on them.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Charisma saving throw?
Yes, 14.
Okay. Yanis is going to get a 19, and the boys are going to get 5 each.
Okay, so yeah, they have a disadvantage of a D4 to subtract on their rolled attack rolls and saving throws. So
Okay. You got it. All right. Anessa, you look and you see that Yanis is trying to run. He's at the bottom of these stairs. You see the Leah's pushed past you. What do you want to do?
Eldritch Blast.
Okay. It's what warlocks do.
Fucking! Oh my god!
That dice might be in trouble. So what did you get?
Oh, I got an 8.
Okay. You channel your Eldritch Blast through the staff once more, and as you do so, because it is retractable, there is the springs inside. You hear like a sound as they're getting strained. It sounds like your staff is getting damaged from you doing these Eldritch Blasts through it and not having much luck. But as you blast through, the Eldritch Blast explodes part of the wall next to Yanis's head, and you do miss him. And he goes, "You're gonna have to do better than that, you crazy bitch." And he is going to then gesture once more, and he points out that pole thing that he has at you. So you and Lee are conveniently in a nice straight line. So what he's going to do is, let me double check something real quick, make sure I'm going to do the spell correct. I don't have my spell cards in front of me. I want to make sure we're good. Whoops.
What did I do to you, D&D Beyond? The fuck?
Nothing. I just did.
We were so cool earlier.
Okay. So against you, Lee, because you are in the front, it is going to be an attack roll of a dirty 20.
Oh no.
Okay. You are going to take 1d12 lightning damage. Cocked. Cocked again. The cocked helps you because that was minimum damage of 1. You take 1 point of lightning damage, and as it hits you, it sizzles a little bit and starts to pulse through your body towards Anessa, but doesn't quite make it to her. Anessa, you recognize a spell this simple, but if you want, you can do an Arcana check to know for sure what he's doing.
Yeah. I'm done with D&D Beyond. I'm rolling my own dice.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sick of it. Sick of this shit.
Yeah, it's been harsh to you this evening, I will say.
See, you're better. That's a 17 altogether.
The Witch Bolt is a pretty common spell of first level of power that this creature has attacked with. You know that it draws lightning out of the ether to attack foes. You know that it is a persistent effect too, so as long as he concentrates, he'll be able to continue doing it. So that might be something to factor into your attack strategy.
Talk a lot of shit for somebody that can cast spells my own kids can do.
Oh, nice. And that was Yanis's turn. He is going to start up the stairs after he does that. So he'll actually be like here on the map because we have the upstairs in this area here is depicting the catwalk that he is on now. And as he starts up the catwalk, the 4 boys, he will just kind of look up to them, and then they will take their turns You notice that they did not do anything last round, but they do stuff now. So one of them is going to get a minus D4 because of being baned. That's a 1. So the natural 1 that he rolled, this is amazing. The two boys who are attacking Lee, one of them got a natural 1, the other one got a natural 20. So the one with the natural 1, just the way it happened to work out, he was the first one that rolled. Minus the 1d4, he's going to miss completely. So he's actually going to take a shard, and as he goes to throw it, he pulls it back and he loses his balance. He falls off of the catwalk and hits the ground below, directly behind you, Anessa, and doesn't move again. You're not sure the extent of his injuries, but he is out of the fight. So then the second one, like I said, with a natural 20, he is also baned, however, though, so I will do a minus D4 for him. Minus 2, which means an 18 plus his dexterity of 1. That is a 19, which will hit you, Lee. You are going to take 1 point of piercing damage, because they're only rolling 1d3 on the piercing damage for the little shards of glass. They're more of a nuisance at this point. And then the other two are going to attack Anessa. So, same thing. Okay, one of them has 18, and the other one has a 9.
Hits.
The
Does not
18
hit.
does?
So the first one hits, second one doesn't.
Okay. You are going to take 3 points from the one that hit, as he hits you with a shard of glass. And then it is going to be Lee's turn. So Lee, these boys are seemingly still following this monster for some odd reason. What do you want to do?
I am running this man down.
Okay. You take off after him, getting to the base of the stairs and start going up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you get up to him.
I will take a swing at him.
All right.
Run him through with my sword if I can. Oh, it's an 8.
You swing, and he dodges out of the way. It would seem he's a little quicker than you anticipated. Your sword slashes through the railing. It's made out of wood, so it splinters and breaks and falls away. And after that happens, Malice.
Could I?
Oh, I'm sorry, Lee. Go ahead. Yes.
Could I bonus action disengage, but go around him at all? So then he can't go further down the cat.
Like move in behind him. I'll say because you're a swashbuckler, you're an agile, quick fighter. I'll say you could do that for sure. Yeah. So you disengage, kind of in around him.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
then he can't go further up or further
Yeah.
down the catwalk.
Yeah, so you disengage up to the top of the catwalk, and you look and you can see that the remaining boys are all looking to you. From your vantage point up here, Lee, you can see that they have a strange, black, shadowy energy rippling across their eyes. It would seem they're beguiled, and that's why they're actually following this guy still. Okay. Malice, what are you doing?
Malice is going to Lee is in the way. I don't want to hit him with it again. Yeah, instead he turns his gaze to the boy that hit the Nessa, and yeah, he's gonna shoot a little ray of sickness his way.
Lee will yell, don't hit the kids. They're under his control. They're not doing it of their own will.
Okay.
And if I hear him in time, I'm gonna be like, seriously?
I think you hear him in time, but the spell has already been released, so it does fly. So go
Yeah.
and roll.
Okay. Poor kid. Oh, poor kid. 21 to hit. 15
Okay.
plus 6.
Okay. Yep, it hits him. The ray slams into his chest. And you see that same creeping goo that was on the back of Lee spread up towards his face. He starts coughing and grabbing at it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I feel so bad. That is 9 points of poison damage. Poor kid.
Okay. And the boy collapses to the catwalk. He's still up. He doesn't fall off. He just collapses to the catwalk.
Oh, you see, now I feel bad.
And Anessa, what do you do?
Can I still see him from where I am on the bottom?
Can you still see Yanis?
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, you're looking through the doorway. You can see him.
Eldritch Blast.
Wow.
Shocking.
Tired of him. I know, right? I'm out of spells, so... But I'm doing it from my hand, not the staff.
Okay.
That's why I do it from my hand! That's a natural 20!
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah.
Ah!
That'll hit. That'll be a critical.
Okay, so that's 2d10 plus 3.
Beautiful.
Alright, I'm just going to do the regular d10 roll and then roll again. And I'm also going to use my Vessel of Souls. But
Of course. So as you
First.
cast the Eldritch Blast out of your hand, all that fury and anger as this man who is doing this terrible abuse to these boys, you blast forth the energy. There are shadows that wreath out of the night, swirl around as the shroud, these shadows, these souls support you. They strengthen you. Your enragement is their will. They surge forward and they blast into him. How much damage do you do?
that is 11 damage total.
Okay. And as you hit him, these souls swirl about. They start to scream, claw, rip away at him. The Eldritch Blast burns away part of that exposed exterior, and the clawed figures, these shadows, pull him down to the steps. The Witch Bolt goes wild, and electricity surges across the wall, exploding a sconce that's attached to the wall. And the boys up on top of the catwalk suddenly shake out of whatever was happening to them. The boys down on the ground are looking around in shock and dismay. And Yanis, as he falls to his knees, he looks up at you, Lee. And as the energy, the Eldritch Blast pulls up, you can see his skin deteriorating as it burns away, part of his skull forming beneath. He says, "The creeping death will not be stopped. The mistress will own Mendula's Rock. Silk will wear your bones." And his face just turns into a strange goo as the rest of his words are lost to whatever he was about to say. And the man, thing, monster, whatever he was, collapses in death on the stairs in front of you.
How many of the boys are down?
There is the one boy who was on the catwalk who is unconscious. There was the boy on the ground who fell off who was unconscious.
Okay. Well, what about the poison? One ray of sickness. Is he still alive?
Yeah, that was the one that collapsed on the catwalk, correct?
Oh, that's the one that collapsed on the catwalk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the one that got hit.
They're down though. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, I'm gonna try to take care of the boys that fell. I mean, if
Okay,
it's
you-
possible to save them,
Well, I will say
cure,
this.
cure wounds on either one of them.
I will say this.
Yeah.
You are aware that time would be of the essence of these two boys. They probably
Yes.
are very hurt. You'll have to decide which one of the two of them you can help in the short amount of time that you have left.
Malice, if you can take care of the one on the catwalk, I might be able to do something with the one on the ground here.
And he's up in the catwalk, huh? All right. I'll take out the loot, and I told our producer I would not use this spell, but I'm gonna use it anyway. And bling! I'll hit fly and just fly up to the catwalk to cure wounds on this kid.
Yes, you take out the loot, and if I'm not mistaken, you pull out a bow and pull it across it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and you float up off the ground as the pardon me, as the sound waves pull you up off the ground. Invisible force beneath you that ripple. There's strange music notes that discordantly play through the air as you arise, and you land up on the catwalk next to the boy as Anessa moves to the boy on the ground. And Anessa, what are you doing to the boy on the ground?
They are unconscious, yes?
Yes.
I would like to see if I can at least try to stabilize them to get a little bit more time for Malice to finish the healing, because Anessa does not have healing spells.
Go ahead and make a medicine check, please.
All right. That is a 15 altogether.
Okay. You move over to the boy and you take a look, and it looks like he's not bleeding or cut or anything like that. He just fell and got hurt, knocked himself out. So you're able to stabilize him, and you see he kind of starts coming to underneath your guidance. He is okay. He'll be all right. Up on the catwalk, Malice, you move forward to the boy who is down. You see the last bits of the sickness kind of fall off and disappear into the air as the spell ends. You get over to him, you reach down and you cure his wounds, and you watch as you begin to cure him that the damage that was done from when he got hit melts away as well, and you are able to save him. You don't need to roll. Whatever you roll is going to be enough to bring him back to being conscious. So
Sure.
yeah, so so you save both of the boys. Luckily, the time you both managed to move quick enough to help them. And in this moment, the rest of the boys in the warehouse, as I mentioned, the entire workforce of Yenis's glassworks, all start to come out from wherever they're at. Some of them look confused. Some of them look mad. Some of them look sad, actually. They're not sure what to do. And there's one of them that steps forward, Tyrell, and he looks to you, Anessa, and says, So, are we safe now?
I know where you all can go. And looking over to Lee and Malice, we need to rest. So we're going to go to the Underground Raven. You'll be safe.
Okay. Brothers, let's go. And the boys all start coming together. You hear the clanging of their glass-forming implements across the floor as they drop them where they lay. Some come right to Tyrell. Others take a few more moments to take their time. But eventually, all of the boys come up and they follow the three of you with Anessa, the lady who came here and has liberated them. You walk out into the night of Mandulia's Rock. And that is where we will conclude our tale this evening. We will, of course, be back next week for part 3 of The Creeping Death, where the mystery will continue to unfold because something is amiss. There is a strange mistress, a sylph, as it were, and perhaps a dark, ominous presence called the Creeping Death that continues to draw closer to our companions. So thank you for joining us. I am Kevin. I was your game master this evening. As always, I am the U.S. ambassador to Notte Eterna and the main dungeon master here. Thank you so very much for joining us and for watching. If you like what you've been watching, please check us out on the link tree below. You can go to Notte Eterna and you can check us out on Twitter, Instagram, all the cool fun places. You can actually get a copy of the quick start guide, and you can start playing in your own adventures in Notte Eterna. You can also pre-order the game that's coming out. It was on Kickstarter recently, fully funded, lots of cool stretch goals, and you can kind of tap into that on the website. But enough about that. Let's go ahead and say goodbye to our players for tonight. Andrew, please tell us who you were, where we can find you out there on the interwebs.
Yeah, I'm Andrew. I played Lee. You can find me at Andrew Nguyen RPG on all the social medias across the board.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much for returning. I love the work you're doing with Lee, and it's great to have you here. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Next up is David, of course, right here beneath me. David, thank you so much for being here yet again. Tell us a little bit about Malice, about yourself, where we can find you.
Oh, Malice. Oh, you can find him wandering all over the place. As a matter of fact, he's got a little crumb snatcher on his shoulders. He's holding on to his horns while they're walking down to the Raven. No, seriously. Yes, you can catch me, Dave, on Murder Hobo Incorporated's streaming podcast on YouTube. tomorrow night we're actually doing our ongoing Calamity campaign, so that should be very interesting. And yeah, other than that, if you want to follow me on the socials, you can follow me on Bardic AF at Twitter, or also on my Inspired Champions channel at Inspired Champs on Twitter. And yeah, just if you can, tune in tomorrow night for all the craziness. Kevin knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, yes, yes. A little bit different vibe than here, but still great stuff. So absolutely. And finally, of course, Javante. Hello, sir.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Javante. I'm the resident TTRPG goblin. Yeah, where else can you find me? Next Wednesday, you can catch me at the Initiative Order, where I'll be DMing our Dante's Inferno, a 5e guide through the 9 Circles of Hell game. Party just got to the second circle and discovered that it is the domain of Lilith, so this will be a fun little excursion for them. Where else can you find me? I do stuff everywhere, so if you want to check out what else I am doing, go over to my Twitter, which is at Javante, JHEV as in Victor, AUNTE, to see all the other crazy things that I am getting myself up to.
Absolutely. Yes, he's on a great episode. A shameless plug for me. He's on a great episode over at Wanderer's Haven, the other home that I live at, where we got to play some really cool recent Pacific Rim versus Kong Skull Island crossover event. Which
Kaiju are so
Kaiju
cool.
versus
Yes.
Kong.
Yes.
Kaiju
Played-
are so cool.
Yes, played with our producer Miko, who was here in the background. Miko, thank you so very much for being here and making sure we all work right. Thank you so very much for all of your hard work with the art and all the cool layouts that we have going on here. Of course, I want to make sure we thank Jason Forbes and Ali Rebelli for putting out the game and allowing us to play it. I want to thank all of you for watching. I want to make sure we thank Tabletop Audio for the amazing tunes you've been hearing blasting in your eardrums while we've been vanquishing evil in the eternal night. I also want to thank Milby's RPG for making our really cool battle map this evening, which I thought was really fun to use. And yeah, this was an absolute blast. Thank you all so very much. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go raid our good friends over at Magia RPG because they're playing something. I don't know what exactly they're playing tonight, but they rock. So check them out. Until next time, may the moon smile upon you. Good night, everyone.